Hey YouTube, thank you for joining me. Today's video going to be continuing on with the renovation. Going to start in the room behind me, and then we're going to move in here doing a little bit of cleaning. Really appreciate you all watching. Thanks again. Be sure to go out and down in there and check on the description. I've got all kinds of things you can click on that'll make me money, as well as you can let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to my Patreon page if you don't mind. Give me a couple dollars. Thank you all for joining me. This is the Homemade Home End of Year Christmas Spectacular video. 2019 was an especially good year for me, both on and off YouTube, and I want to thank you all for sitting through those 20 to 30 minute long videos of me working on an endless project and rambling on and on about my ideas. And to put a cherry on top of the year, this is also a sponsor video, and that sponsor is Audible. My first experience with Audible was while on a 5-day canoe trip with a friend. We paddled from the city that I live in to the city he lives in over 5 days, and throughout that time we listened to a lot of audiobooks from Audible. My favorite was The Martian, which we actually never finished, and I'm currently finishing now. Audible is a cool service because they take all that content, jam it all into one place to where you're not hunting it down all over the internet. Let's go ahead and get the video started, and I'll continue telling you a little bit about Audible. Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, and comedy. Listen to Audible on the go while shopping, going to the gym, or traveling the world. You can listen anytime, anywhere, and on any device, Alexa, Bluetooth, and more. With Audible, you'll enjoy easy audiobook exchanges and your own audiobook library you keep forever, even if you cancel. Go to www.audible.com/homemadehome or text HomemadeHome to 500-500 and you'll get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. Choose one audiobook and 2 Audible originals absolutely free. That's more than half off the regular price. This is for a limited time only. And a personal thank you from me to Audible for sponsoring the video. Let them know what you think about their support down in the comments below. From top to bottom, I'm now done with all of the cleaning. A couple things sitting around, but that's okay. Just want to be able to move around and get my work done. Place is clean as a baby's bottom. You could eat off the floor. Ready to move on to the next thing. In getting the house cleaned up, something snuck up on me, and that is that I have kind of passed that point. I'm at that landmark moment where I can start getting the house put back together. Don't have to do any more messy work, and I can just start. An excellent time to answer a common question. What respirator do I use? Is a 3M mask, and then I use these. These are the 2071 filters.
They're just dust filters. You can get the organic filters if you want to go all the way, if you're working around something real stinky, or just chemicals in general.
Tore the ceiling out behind me for cosmetic reasons and structural. Cosmetically speaking, this is what we're dealing with. So a just very hideously textured ceiling. Structurally speaking, the floor is sagging upstairs. So same deal as was going on in the kitchen is going on here. Some of these joists do not run the full length. So I think it's the last one, and then this one, and then this one. They run almost the full length, and then there's a little piece nailed onto the side of it to make the full length, causing the floor to sag. So it starts sagging about here, and it dips down a whole lot right over top this joist. This joist here is also sagging just because it's a 2x6. So all this is 2x6 framing on 24-inch spacing. The room also, this used to be a chimney. Now it is ductwork is running up through there. So that is framed out to accommodate it. So this joist right here runs into this piece here, which then hangs on those two joists. So starting here, that's the biggest problem. So I'm going to come back in and sister on some 2x6s, a note on safety. That will involve me putting a jack here and jacking up the floor. Need to keep in mind that this is just a wood floor. You wouldn't want to just stick a 20-ton bottle jack in here and just start pushing until you got the results you want, because you could bust right through your floor here. So you'd be putting a lot of load on this floor, and it's just not designed for that. One thing you could do, make sure your jack is right on top of joist, go down in the basement, stick a 4x4 right under that spot, and you'd be transferring that load all the way down to the ground during your jacking. The other thing to keep in mind is that if you're jacking something up, and then say you were going to remove these joists, you would want to put some sort of temporary support, some sort of 2x4s jammed up in the right spots to kind of hold things temporarily. That could just be because in case your jack fails, it'd be like going under a car without jack stands. Just make sure you don't do anything too crazy to hurt yourself. In regard to building codes, I get asked a lot about that kind of stuff. With something like this, there's sort of a gray area when you're doing renovations. Houses like this weren't even built when building codes were even in existence. So whether they're crappy or whether they're really nice, it was just building codes didn't exist until a certain point in time. I don't know what the year was, but it just didn't exist. So everything was built before that. So when you come back in and you're doing a renovation on this, it's kind of this mix of retrofitting code into something that didn't have code applied to it. Code is also a rolling target. What it was 30 years ago is very different than what it is today. So that's another thing you got to keep in mind. A house that's even not that old, built in the 60s or 70s, was a completely different code. The wiring, the framing, everything about it. So you can kind of bring one thing up to code, but the 10 things right beside it are not. And then when you're really getting into stuff like this, older rough framed houses, it can get pretty abstract, kind of bringing code into it. And oftentimes building officials will let you just kind of, it might not be exactly code, but you can kind of overdo something. They'll go, that's good enough. That will achieve the goal that we're looking for, because there's no other way around it. Then you're also, of course, grandfathered into certain things. They're not going to show up to the house and say, this house is not up to code, tear it down. It's not the way it works. Also get asked all the time, why don't I just tear houses down and build new ones? I don't think that'd be very fun videos, and it's just not what I do. $9,000 house, spend about 10 or whatever fixing it up. You're not going to build a house for that much. You'd spend God knows how much just paying to have it torn down and hauled off. So this is just a different thing. It's renovation videos, not house building videos, not being defensive, just kind of explaining that it's much cheaper. It's almost like a way, I've said this before, to finance a project. I spent $9,000 to buy this house. Then I spend a little bits of money at a time until it's done. When you build a house, it's a whole different process. A lot of times there's a mortgage involved in it, construction loans, all that type of stuff. That's big money all at once, and then setting yourself up for long-term payments and a lot of interest. All this is done as I can afford it, both finances and time. Let's move on. After a bunch of thinking and staring and a trip to Lowe's, I've decided to go with 2x8 sistered onto the 2x6s. That's going to add a lot of stiffness. It'll drop the ceiling down 1.5 inches, so I thought it was a decent compromise. That's really not much lower. These ceilings are a full 8 feet, so it's just going to be 1.5 inches lower. Adding those 2x8s, that's going to add a whole lot of stiffness over spruce 2x6s, especially around that opening of the stairwell, because there's a wall sitting on that goes up against the roof, and then around the opening where this chimney used to be, which is now the ductwork running up through there. I need to frame out this opening better, so just the 2x8s, working with new lumber, that's going to drop the ceiling down a little bit, so I'm going to end up with a really flat ceiling to account for any differences in the sizes of these rough sawn 2x6s that are up here. Sometimes they're all not quite right, and they're all scabbed together and everything, so the drywall would come out way better with the way I'm going about it.
night, ladies.
Let's take a look at things. So that joist went right against the stairwell. There's a lot of load on this joist right here. So what I'm going to do, the same as I've been notching them all, 6 inches from the top, 4 inches over to hang on that wall. I'm going to do another one, notch it the same, and I'm going to put it up on this wall and run it this way. So I'm going to double it up, but each one will be notched on opposite sides sitting on the wall. And then this one's going to get nailed off to that one. So it's going to be a doubled up 2x8 plus the 2x6 that was there supporting this opening. So it'll be about a, all in all, it's going to be about a 5-inch beam right there. Thought I'd show you some of this real quick. Some of the mayhem from jacking. You can look in all the corners. Up there, and that seam all along any of the corners. You know, it kind of broke the drywall joint. Corner of this doorway here, so there's that one again. A little separation on the trim here. See, we got the bedroom. Bedroom wall seems okay. A little buckling in the paint here. And looks like the door is actually shutting now. Before I jacked this wall up, which is pushing this corner up, there was almost a full inch gap here, and you can see the wear mark on the strike plate in the door jamb. The center of this is where that is what's rubbed that paint off. The center of this was almost at the bottom of the strike plate, so that kind of shows you roughly how much that entire wall was pushed up. That wall, of course, is supporting the roof as well. So I may have taken some of that sag out of the ridge beam doing what I did, and I didn't notice this one until now. So the actual paper tape in the drywall, that's all that is. That popped loose, so that'll just be repaired. So a lot of little drywall issues, but that's no big deal. When all the drywall is being done, I'll just tell the fellas to take care of all that while they're at it. Not staged. Now I can let the jacks off and see what happens. Should be a lot stronger. Still some deflection where I couldn't completely press the original 2x6 straight. Let's see, let's knock this one out first. Not too bad. It's still there, but we are way better off than we were. pretty much finished in this room, but there are a few things I need to do. Above the basement staircase where it comes up upstairs, and then where you start to go up the staircase here to go to the second floor, I need to fix the ceilings right above that, just to where the drywall is at the same plane. No big deal. Only thing I need to be concerned with is that when you're coming down the steps or going up, you can bang your head right on the kind of opening for that staircase. So I'm going to be bringing that down, and it's already a little low. Luckily, the way it's framed, I'm going to be able to kind of push it back and do a little bit of an angle for some extra head clearance. The other thing I need to do is along that wall over there, I need to put a nailer for the drywall as well. So just a 2x4 or 2x6 nailed right to the wall to where the end of the drywall can be nailed off. In this room, it also never had any kind of overhead lighting. There's no old wires or anything, no holes drilled of any sort. There's never been any kind of lighting in this room except for whatever they had plugged into the outlets. So the lighting for this room, it's up in the air. I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not going to start drilling holes and hanging any kind of lighting fixtures or work boxes. I was going to get y'all's take on it. A friend of mine recently did recessed lighting in his living room, and I liked it a lot. He did 4-inch, really nice 4-inch LED light fixtures. So I don't think I'll probably do that. I'll probably just use my standard can lights if I go that route. But I could do 4 in here. That would be a lot of light. I could do just a single light in the middle. I could do a ceiling fan. These are just normal-ish height ceilings, minus 1 3/4. So, you know, by the time you put a ceiling fan in there, you're getting low. I've never been a huge fan of ceiling fans on 8-foot ceilings, because when you're getting excited and you're flailing your hands around or jumping around, you know, as a young child, I've caught my fingers in ceiling fans before and banged my head on them, climbing up on stuff. So I don't know, but maybe most people are just being calm and sitting down in the living room. I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing, turn the camera a little bit, in the dining room, that also has textured ceilings, and the dining room is next to the kitchen, so I think all that was framed the same. So I'm guessing that if I tear that drywall out of the kitchen, that is also a mess. So I think I'll probably do that, and that would be maybe in the next video when I get to that. Then after that, I should be done with most of the horrible stuff. I still need to do the front of the roof and overtop the porches, so that could turn into kind of a big project. But as far as any kind of major framing goes, that should be it. So I think that's it. Let's go down into the basement and continue the mini-series working on the farm table. Welcome back to another mini episode. We're going to continue making the legs for the farm table. If you got some 4x4s like these, they actually measure 3.5 inches square, and you could just leave them just like this and go with a square leg and just put your joinery for your apron right off of them. Another simple option would be to measure down about 7 inches, and with a circular saw, cut some simple tapers into them. You could also go for a round leg of some sort. There's all different ways you could go about that. I'm going to take the simplest route I can think of, and that is going to be taking a coarse rasp, and I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to go at it. You at least want to give yourself 20-30 minutes per leg, and just see what I can kind of come up with, and then I'll duplicate it on the other legs. Not too bad. About 15 minutes and a good rasp, and you have yourself a nice table leg. It is a little bit slow. There's faster ways of going about it. I think I can do better in my workshop. So what we'll do is I'll go finish these up there and bring them back here. I'm going to make the remaining 3 legs using my wood lathe and this contraption. It is a Plywood Duplicator. It's an idea that I came up with while meditating on top of a mountain. It's fairly simple, works just like a key making machine. The first step is marking the centers on all the legs. That is just an X going from corner to corner. With the centers marked, you put one on the drive spur. You tighten her down on the live center, and then that piece of wood will rotate, and the cutter of this contraption is an angle grinder with a chainsaw carving wheel mounted to this, and then this finger rides a template underneath it. The reason I do it this way versus turning them all by hand is this is very fast. It's just duplicating them again and again and again. I do have to take them from this and then clean them up by hand afterwards.
So that is the leg roughed out. I'm going to do the other two, and then I'll remove this and I'll smooth them up by hand.
So that's pretty much all there is to turning table legs. As far as this project goes, my inspiration came from the materials at hand, and then also there's a YouTube channel called The Homestead Craftsman. It's a fellow, I'm not sure what his name is, but he has a shop. I modeled my shop actually after his exactly. He sells a set of woodworking plans that I got, and I'm building this table from those plans. Makes it very easy. The plans are really cool. They're all hand-drawn. You can buy them directly off his website for as a PDF, and it's thehomesteadcraftsman.com. I'll put the link for this, the set of plans, in the description below, as well as his YouTube channel. It's the first table I've ever built personally, so I'm really happy with the results so far. Can't wait to see it finished. I'll see you in the next mini episode. Well, that pretty much brings this video and all the rest for the year to an end. Hope you enjoyed them all. Looking forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas.
It's so cold. It's so sore.